to the interpretation channel.
Muchas gracias por estar aquí nuevamente. Solamente les quisiera dar la bienvenida. Gracias por tomarse el tiempo y en este momento Bárbara les va a explicar cómo utilizar la función de interpretación para el español.
Thank you so much, Barbara. Once again, good evening. Thank you for being here for this meeting. And again, we apologize for the late start. We will, just to show you a couple more of the Zoom functions, and then I'm going to jump into just talking about the agenda for the meeting. So I'll repeat this later on in the meeting, but just to give you a heads up, we are going to be using the Q&A function on the Zoom platform, as well as the chat function. And this slide shows you where to find those. But again, when we get to that part of the meeting, I'm going to spend a longer amount of time showing you where those functions are and how to use them. All right, let's go to the next slide. And here we have our agenda. So let me introduce myself. My name is Joan Isaacson, and I'll be serving as the facilitator for the meeting. We greatly appreciate you being here today. The purpose of today's meeting is to share information with you about the county's work at 3177 Ocean View Blvd. We are here to let you know about the county's work at this property and to gather some feedback from you. We're going to start by introducing you to speakers and members of the project team, and then the county will give you an overview of its affordable housing efforts across the region and affordable housing and health center development at 3177 Ocean View Blvd. We will then turn to Q&A and comments, really a listening session where you can ask questions. The team is here to provide answers, and you can also share your comments and input. An important note I want to make is that the county is really at the very beginning of this development process and is just starting to prepare the request for proposals from affordable housing developers. At this stage, there is an opportunity to request that the developers include certain considerations for the development in the proposals. So we'll talk more about that process later. And but again, I want to let you know the team's at the very beginning, and so they have some information to share, but there are a lot of things that are still under study, under exploration, that will be identified in the next steps coming up. I also just want to make a note that we planned this meeting to last about 60 minutes. So because of the late start, we'll go to about 7:15. And we can go to the next slide. So let me take some time to introduce just some guides for the meeting. And the overarching intent of the guides is we want everyone, all of you who have taken time to be here with us this evening and participate. We want to make sure that you have the opportunity to provide input and ask questions. And important guides to achieve this is for everyone to speak respectfully, to listen actively and hear what other community members have to say, and then allow everyone a chance to participate. And one way of the ways to make this happen, especially in a virtual environment, is to be concise when you're providing input and asking questions. So I mentioned that we'll use the Q&A box and the chat box when we get to the Q&A portion part of the meeting. But I also want to let you know that if you're more comfortable, you can be able to use the raise hand function, and I'll call on you and you can talk and ask your questions and give comment verbally as well. Let's go to the next slide. Okay, Danielle, I think if we could just go back to the, I think this introductions. There we go. I just want to get a chance to introduce the project team. So we have, there are a number of people at the county who are working on this project. So here with us this evening, we have Kelly Salmons. She is the Deputy Director of Housing and Community Development Services at the county. Also, Anita Walia, who's Chief for Housing and Community Development Services. Angela Jackson Vayamas is with us. She's the Project Manager of General Services and Real Estate. Another important project team member who's very involved is Dr. Jennifer Tudor, the Assistant Chief Medical Officer. Jennifer actually is not here, but also from the same office is Dr. Sayon, who is the Public Health Medical Officer. And then we have Jamie Bean also, who's a director with Medical Care Services. Okay, just want to make sure we gave those introductions of the project team. So we're going to start with hearing from our first team member and give you information about the project here. And up first is going to be Anita Walia, who's with HCDS. Anita.
Great. Thank you so much, Joan. The San Diego region faces a severe housing shortage. Many San Diegans are struggling to find an affordable home, especially those most vulnerable, including seniors, veterans, families, and persons with disabilities. The County of San Diego is committed to addressing this crisis by leveraging all opportunities possible to increase the availability of affordable housing throughout the entire region. Some of the key strategies we use to do this include the Innovative Housing Trust Fund, which provides gap financing to developers for affordable housing. We also use project-based vouchers through our Housing Authority of the County of San Diego to help keep residents stably housed. And we also adopt policies to remove barriers to assist housing development in the county in unincorporated communities. Next slide, please. Another way we are creating affordable homes is by repurposing land that the county owns but is no longer being used by the county. This kind of property is considered surplus and is subject to the state law called the Surplus Land Act. The Surplus Land Act requires public agencies such as the county, cities, school districts to offer any land that is no longer serving its intended purpose for the sale or lease to affordable housing developers before selling or leasing for any other purpose. Currently, the county has 11 sites that have been declared surplus. Next slide, please. Three surplus sites currently under construction include Mount Etna, which is in Claremont, and that'll offer 404 homes to low-income families and seniors. Levant Senior Cottages, which will offer 122 homes for low-income seniors in Linda Vista, and Kettner Crossing, located in downtown San Diego, and that'll offer 64 homes for low-income seniors. Another one of those 11 properties, and the reason we're gathered here today, is the 3177 Ocean View Blvd site. I'll now turn it over to Angela Jackson-Llamas, the project manager with the Department of General Services, Real Estate, who will share details on the property and future development. Angela?
Hi, so for reference, the location of the site is at 3177 Ocean View Boulevard, and it's between Interstates 5 and 15 in the Logan Heights area. Next slide. The property is made up of 3 parcels, as you can see here outlined in yellow on the map, and together they total approximately 1.8 acres. Next slide. So the property was built in 1957 and has been used by the county's Health and Human Services Agency. The county has also leased part of the property to San Ysidro Health for a community health clinic. A recent study determined that the buildings on the property have reached the end of their useful life and will be too costly to continue to maintain. The county has studied how the property is being used and determined that this location is well suited for affordable housing. County programs are in the process of moving out of the property and into the new Southeastern Livewell Center at 5101 Market Street. And we're working with San Ysidro Health on an agreement to extend their lease for as long as possible, which is approximately 2 years. Next slide, please. So to get from today to new affordable homes and a new health center on this property, there are 5 key steps. Earlier this year, the County Board of Supervisors voted to make this property surplus and approve the next steps to develop housing and release a request for proposals, also referred to as an RFP, to select a developer. We will include specific items in the RFP that developers are required to address in their proposal. For this site, some of these items include all of the goals of development of the site, including requirements for communication and engagement with the community during the development process, and considerations for a health center space. During today's meeting, we'll be requesting your input on health center service priorities and how best to connect with you during future phases of the project. In the next 6 months, the county will begin the process of selecting a developer for the property. The county's selection will be based on how well the proposal responds to the county's goals and considerations that are outlined in the RFP. Once selected, a real estate agreement will be put in place and the developer will begin planning and permitting on the site. Additional community outreach in future phases will be led by the developer that's selected. Finally, the existing structures will be demolished and the developer will construct affordable homes and a new health clinic. So it's important to remember that there will be times that you may not see big changes at the site, but there will be a lot of activity happening. Next slide. A few more details on the information we have now about the project and what we'll know later after the RFP process has concluded and a developer is selected. We know that the planned future use is affordable housing to include a health clinic space. We know the City of San Diego zoning allows for residential, retail, commercial office, and other uses. There's also a city program that developers can use to build many more affordable homes than what's allowed by the zoning ordinance if they're constructing affordable housing. At this site, a developer could potentially build up to 182 homes. What we know later includes who the developer and clinic provider of the site will be, what populations will be served, or number of homes that will be built. Even though we've determined that 182 units are possible, the developer will determine the final project size. And finally, the construction schedule is another item we don't know today. That would be outlined by the developer. I'll now turn it over to our County Medical Services team. Next slide.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you again for taking time out of your day and evening to join us. My name is Dr. Sayon Pihalolipapin. I am a public health medical officer in the Medical Care Services Department of Health and Human Services Agency. I work closely with our department's director, Jamie Beam, who's also on this call. As you heard, the county recognizes the importance of retaining or keeping health services at this site and will require a new health center space to be included in this affordable housing project. This means that potential developers will need to include space for a health center in their proposals for the development of this site. We acknowledge the challenge and that the existing patients of this clinic that some of you may face during demolition and during construction. During that time, there will not be an operational clinic at this space. We encourage patients to work directly with their provider and make a plan for their healthcare during that time. Next slide.
Team, thank you for sharing information about the planning that's underway for 3177 Ocean View Boulevard. Everyone, this is now the part of our meeting that we're calling our listening session. And you heard from the team, they want to hear your questions, they want to hear your comments, they want to hear your feedback. And so most of the meeting is dedicated for that purpose. As I said, when we started the meeting earlier, I went over the different ways to participate. And so let me review those again. So there's 3 ways. So you can use the Q&A function to submit questions, and the team will be watching that box, and I'll be helping them to pull, and we'll pull questions and answer them here. And to find the Q&A box, it's on, if you look at the bottom of your screen, it's about in the middle, and it has those 2 conversation bubbles and Q&A. So you just click there and you type your question in. If you have comments that you want to submit, and they're not questions, they're comments, we ask that you use the chat box for that. And so you can just type your comments, your feedback into the chat box. Another way to participate is if you would like to talk to the team and pose a question verbally, provide feedback verbally, you can do that too. So in order to make sure that everyone who wants to do that gets called on, I just ask that you use the raise hand function. It's the hand that's at the bottom of your screen. And from there, you can, I'll keep watch. And when we're ready for you, I'll call your name and you can unmute, and then you'll be able to talk directly to the project team. So we have those 3 different ways going on right now for you to provide input. But for specific questions, we ask that you use the Q&A box. What you're going to see is sometimes the team is going to answer your questions back in writing, and you'll see your answer pop up. And then some questions we're going to take, and I'll pull those out and then hand them to the project team or provide them to the project team verbally, and then they'll respond back here. Okay, so we'll give people a moment to go ahead and type questions in. Again, use chat for comments and feedback that aren't specific questions. Okay, so I'm looking here right now, and I see a note that there's a gathering at the Ocean View Clinic, and several people from the community and the staff and team would like to ask questions and give thoughts. That's great. And there's a couple of ways that can happen. If it looks like someone's coordinating there at the clinic, so you could gather their questions and type them into chat, or if you want to use the raise hand function, and then I can call on you and you can have people speak directly into the camera. That'll work well too. So there's a question about, I'll just take the first question here. And this probably is maybe started off by Angela, and then she may pull someone else in to answer this question. But the question is, will the health center being built be given back to San Ysidro Health?
Hi, yes, I was just typing an answer. So the answer is no, it's not going to automatically be given back to San Ysidro Health. The clinic provider would be determined as part of the RFP process. The clinic provider would partner with a developer. They would submit a proposal. That proposal would be reviewed and potentially selected as a developer and clinic provider for the site.
Okay, thanks, Angela. And all right, so I see the hand raised from the side of the clinic. And Irene, are you coordinating?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, awesome. All right, Irene. So let's take we'll take a first speaker from you, and you'll see I'm just going to kind of like go back and forth between taking a question and I'll come back to you, and I'm going to rotate around like that. But let's go to your first person.
That would be wonderful. Hi, I'm Irene Zink. I'm actually the clinic medical director here at Ocean View Clinic with San Ysidro Health, and we have gathered here staff and multiple of our patients. And we wanted to be a part of this meeting because we have really been established in the community for multiple years as Comprehensive Health and now San Ysidro Health. I myself have been here for 12 years. And we really do want to advocate for San Ysidro Health to remain the health center here. I feel that in this community, we have developed a trust with this community of diverse population and need to be maintained here to provide the excellent full access care that we have. We care from cradle to grave. We take care of medical, dental, mental health. We have pharmacy on site. And I just want to say as the clinic medical director and not monopolize the time that we are advocating for us to stay here as the trusted clinic provider, as well as to advocate for the space that we need and to support low-income housing in this whole program so that we can continue to give care to them also. if you're okay with it, would anyone like to ask a question?
Yes, we'll take one question, then I'm gonna go back to the Q&A box and see if anything else is in there.
Thank you so much for your time.
I want to ask why you let the developer to decide who's gonna take in charge of the clinic and not the community.
All right, thank you for your question. And so, Angela, this is a question about the developer. So the question about why let the developer take control of who will run the clinic?
Yeah, so I guess that's the short answer is that we would rely on the developer to partner with a clinic provider that they feel is qualified and that they're comfortable, you know, in a long-term partnership with. We wouldn't direct that as part of this process.
All right, thanks, Angela. Irene, I think we can take another from in the room. And thanks for coordinating on your end.
What would make a developer competent to make that decision better than the people who are already in charge?
Dr. Sayon, is this a question that you want to jump into?
Joan, I think that's about the RFP process.
Okay.
So if it's okay. I don't know if Angela or someone else, that's you.
Don't I'd be happy to jump in there. Yeah. So what the developer will be looking for is a qualified medical, organization that's willing and able to partner and to create it. So the developer isn't necessarily just randomly picking a medical provider that they think is capable. It's a medical provider who's capable and able and willing to partner for this multi-purpose property. So I think that's an important distinction. They'll come in together, and both developer and medical provider will have a responsibility to prove that they're qualified and able to carry out what's needed at this property.
Right. I just want to check to see if there's anyone else on the Zoom call who would like to ask a question, and then before we go back into the room. Does anyone else want to jump in? Just raise your hand. Okay, let's go. Jasmine, I heard
I'm
you.
having some issues adding the questions from chat, but there are a few questions in chat.
Okay, we'll take a look at those, and we'll take the, let's go back to the clinic, and we'll take another question from the room there at the clinic, and then Natalia will have you go next.
Okay, so I was wondering, so this clinic has been here for many, many years, so why would they not be qualified already to remain here? It makes no sense that you are talking about sourcing out to someone else when they've been here in the community, serving the community, and we love this facility here. The doctors, they look out for us, so replacing them is just not acceptable.
Thank you. Well said.
Thank you for that comment. I should have let you know too at the beginning that we're keeping notes of all of your comments, your input, your questions, and we'll be documenting that in detail for the project team. All right, Natalia, let's go to you next.
Hello, good afternoon. This is Natalia Ordóñez talking. I'm actually a MA in San Isidro Ocean View. Just wanted to comment that we have long times. I've been going since I was a baby to San Isidro Ocean View, and now I work into medical field here at the clinic with some provider that I know from years, which actually is my PCP right there. I also want to question, did they do any type of signatures that they did it, that they want the housing to go on or the medical field into that?
Yeah, so you're asking if there's been any signatures. Can you just clarify signatures from who? From community members or
from community members and
Okay.
patients from there coming from years?
Okay, thanks, Natalia. So, Angela, I think this question goes back to you. Have there been any signatures from community members about the affordable housing project?
No, this was something that was approved and directed by our Board of Supervisors to move forward with affordable housing on this site, but recognizing that the clinic is an important component for this community, it will be incorporated into the future project. So there will remain a healthcare clinic on this site.
Yes, Dr. Seon.
Joan and Natalia, I just wanted to also reading your question in the chat and what you said. I just definitely wanted to emphasize what Angela just said, that you wrote in the chat in housing instead of medical care. I wanted to emphasize that there's going to be both. And it's required that any developer who's developing here, build a health center, and it'll be a new health center, everything, so it'll be both, even though there will be a transition period, of course, of time where there may be no services on site.
Thank you. We have a question I just want to take from chat, and then we'll come back to the raised hands. So the question is, I know this is a long period project, a long-term project, but when approximately will we have access to submit applications or for a waiting list?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so typically developers will open up their waiting or interest lists about 6 months prior to the anticipated opening date of the building. And so those are usually hosted on the developer's website, as well as at their site. They'll usually have a sign, a phone number, email address to be getting on that. So approximately 6 months prior to the development opening.
Okay, great. Martin, we're going to go to you, and then Irene will come back to you and your guest there.
Thank you so much. Does the county have any opposition to the developer, really a development team, which includes local community and some of the local historic churches, actually reaching out to the current provider to see if they can be included in the new development?
Okay, so the question is there an effort going out to, reaching with community organizations, churches, to see if the existing clinic provider could be included? Was that your question?
No, it was just almost, my bad. I'm so sorry, Joanne. It was, is there any opposition from the county to really a development team reaching out to the current provider to try to rehouse them? Please excuse me, I'm so sorry.
No, I probably misinterpreted.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is gonna go to Kelly, I think.
Or I can take that one.
Okay.
No, there's no issue at all. As a matter of fact, we would love that if a developer was able to successfully partner with San Ysidro Health.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Thanks.
Irene, we're going back to you.
Okay. My question is, excuse me, what's going to happen to the employees and the doctors that I've come to, I won't say love.
What's going to happen to the employees and the doctors that you love? Really, yeah. Such an important question. Dr. Seon.
Yeah, thank you for that information. And I also wanted to thank Dr. Zink for organizing that room, because clearly, if you can get that many people to be there at an evening and give us input, then that really speaks to the level of trust that you built with your community, and longstanding, and like we heard from, I think, Natalia, who was a patient and now an employee. It's really remarkable that you all have established such great trust and, of course, service and care. To your question, sir, yes, there are going to be around. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, sorry, I froze on my. They're going to be around 2 years that the provider has, San Ysidro has, to work out the transition of services. Of course, the county is continuing to communicate with and partner with San Ysidro about this transition. But of course, no doctor wants to, not be able to see their patients, or no patients want to not be able to see their doctors and other members of their care team. So that thankfully we do have a few years to work out some of the details.
So I know that all of you that are part of this meeting know how important the trust of your provider is. And I was not the person that set this meeting up. It was our staff and team of San Ysidro Health and the community wanting to be part of this. So we have more questions. We definitely want to stay in this community and give care to those people that have obviously grown to trust us. Would you please take another question?
Absolutely. And then I'm going to go to a question that's in the box, but good evening.
Hi, how you doing? My name is Carmen. I've been working here for 16 years. I've been in this community for a very long time.
We're having problems hearing you. Maybe speak a little closer to the mic.
Can you hear me?
Dr. Zink, something happened with the audio.
Okay, can you hear us?
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Okay, hello. Hi, my name is Carmen. I've been in this community for 16 years. I worked here. I worked here before with the Ysidro Health Center. I was with Comprehensive Health Center. I guess what I'm thinking is that I'm in a community as tight-knit as this, why no one have went around and asked the people who live here how they feel about the center. Everybody wants to build low-income apartments, which are never low-income. So really the people who are helping in San Ysidro Health Center with the $20, $40, $60 visits that these patients come and get all the care that they need. I feel like you're doing a big disservice to this community. And I think that you could do better if you just came in and just seen what was going on here. This is a very important health center, not only, for children, for women, for African Americans, for Hispanic people. We're very prevalent in this community, and I feel like, you're going to be missing out on such a jewel. And I stand up as a person who I've worked here since I was 19. So I've seen it, I've been in it, and I just think that even to take this out and even just consider anything else is just crazy to me.
Thank you very much for that input.
Yeah, I wanted to say thank you again. This is a listening session, and we really appreciate your words of wisdom. I think that I'm also happy, or you may be aware or happy to know that many of the potential developers are also on this call. So some of them are hearing some of your words as well, not just the county folks.
Yeah, and again, I have team members who are taking very detailed notes as well. I do want to take this question. Here's the question. It's why would you take this clinic out of the community that a lot of people have access to easily on public transportation? We had these doctors for many years. Where would these providers go? So it's a two-part question. The first has to do with the accessibility of this site for the clinic patients.
Sure. The clinic, there's going to be a temporary, of course, lack of usability, or the clinic won't be there for a few years just during demolition and construction, but there will be a clinic again. Even though, we are talking about a delay and a gap, and that gap is significant, of course, for your healthcare, and we understand that. So we continue to partner and communicate with San Ysidro in terms of that transition and what that would look like to be least disruptive, because you're right, it's, the location is important, your providers are important. And so how do we, how does San Ysidro as a provider maintain continuity, and how do we work with San Ysidro in that journey? So we will continue to discuss. Thank you.
And then the second part of that question is we've had these doctors for many years. Where will these providers go?
Yeah,
Dr. Zan, I think that's back to you again.
Yeah, and that's the similar answer. I'm sorry. That, you know, we are discussing with San Isidro about the process and really to try to maintain continuity. You know, there's a few ways this could be done. And so we continue to discuss with them. This is also part of the reason we're having this session, is to really hear from you all as a community, really what your concerns and needs are during that transition period as well. So we appreciate that, and we are taking notes.
All right. Vernita Todd, you have a hand up. You are invited to unmute.
Thank you for taking my question. Good evening, colleagues. My name is Vernita Todd. I am the Vice President and Chief Strategy Officer for San Isidro Health. And I think what you hear from our callers and the room of our patients and staff is the passion that we have, certainly for this clinic that's been in place for 50 years. I will take a slightly different note than the comments that you've heard in moving us forward and talking about the RFP and the time frame. Certainly, I would say to Mr. Power, for if you want to rehouse us and talk about that, please call me and let me put my name in there for that conversation. But all kidding aside, just with some technicality with the RFP, in knowing that San Isidro has provided a comprehensive range of services, not just a health clinic. What you hear there are folks telling you about medical primary care and behavioral health and substance use disorder and dental services and a full comprehensive pharmacy. I mean, it's not a minute clinic. It's not a 10,000 square feet replacement for 12,000 people getting their care. And I guess our influence and our colleagues, I mean, our comments to you tonight is, as important as housing is, to forego health care for that housing would be a mistake. And 12,000 people currently live and work and play in that area and get healthcare there. And so I think that's what you hear in the passion moving forward. So if you're building an RFP that 182 max units can go, and housing is such the important thing, will that negate comprehensive services so that the clinic gets smaller and smaller, but it's there, you can check the box. And so we're asking that you be mindful that the care that's being provided for these 12,000 folks and the comprehensive nature of that care be intentional in the RFP moving forward. So that's kind of a technicality. The second thing is just in the matter of time frame and moving forward. We understand this is a done deal. So if we could talk you out of it, we would, but we realize that's not where we are. But knowing that we do have a lease for 2 years, even upon the award of an RFP, the actual financing of this project could be 2, 3, 5 years away. And so can we talk about the demolition occurring when it's ready to move and not just when there's a winner? Because then you create more continuity of care, you create more opportunities for us not to disrupt care within 2 years. It sounds like a long time, and I'm sorry to keep talking, but the end of 2025 will be here before we know it for 12,000 people to transition. And so we just are asking, as we move in this next step, however begrudgingly that we're there, that we're mindful that we are replicating these types of comprehensive services for the low-income families that have trusted us with their care. So thank you for taking that call, and I appreciate your time.
Yeah, thank you for all the points that you've raised too. Dr. Zink, we'll come back to you. Looks like we have a couple more people who are ready to go. And then John Tanner will come over to you. So while we take 2 from the clinic, and then we'll go to John Tanner, and then we'll go back to the clinic. Sir.
Based on the process at this moment, and you're into the RFP situation going on, when you find out a developer, how will you engage that developer with the clinic? I come from a construction project management background, and I've seen many places get overtaken, for lack of a better word, by the fact that there isn't the person that's already here, such as San Isidro Health, isn't the first runner in the developer's mind. The developer already has someone he's worked with in past projects or anything like that as a clinic. And so my concern is that they're going to get shoved to the back of the line instead of being possibly first or second in line to be able to work with the developer to try and maintain continuity care and also be here for the community. And you're also looking at they're bidding on something, and you can't bid on a footprint of something if you don't know what goes in it. So how are they going to work with Standard Cedar Health or any other clinic if they don't know what the specs will be and what are necessary for this area?
That, Joan?
Yeah, Angela, please.
We will include as much information as we have in that RFP, and some of that, or a big part of that, will be an attachment that includes all of your feedback that we've received. And I would anticipate, I would imagine that even multiple developers could potentially try to partner with San Ysidro Health and submit proposals. We would only be able to select one. And as we move through the development process with that developer, they're held to what they've proposed. So that clinic will not change significantly, size or footprint or services that they originally offered us in the proposal.
Thank you.
Dr. Sink, let's take one more person from. Okay.
Hi everyone, my name is Aristella. I'll be interpreting for our patient here, Sylvia.
Mi nombre es Silvia Díaz y yo también vengo aquí porque yo soy una paciente desde hace 25 años. Aquí tuve mis bebés. Bueno, aquí me atendieron los doctores, los enfermeros, las recepcionistas, todo el equipo de aquí de San Ysidro Health. Son muy amables todos y no quisiera que pasara nada con esta clínica porque quiero venir aquí. Mi esposo también se atiende el corazón. Hay muy buenos doctores y no quisiera que pasara nada con esta clínica. Quisiera que siguiera aquí.
So she's saying that she has been a patient here for over 25 years. She says she had.
Thank you very much. And our interpreter was able to interpret that back for us too. So thank you for sharing how you feel about the clinic.
We have one more or no?
We'll come back to you, I promise.
Okay, thank you so much.
Oh, of course. Okay, so we have a hand up from, it's Tanner or John?
Tanner John.
Okay.
Tanner's my first name.
Okay, sorry, Tanner.
Oh, no worries. I get that's common. I'm a provider at Ocean View. And just to, I guess to reiterate the things I heard, and I so appreciate the people at the clinic right now that, you know, like it seems backwards to me that a clinic who takes care of 12,000 people and who's been there for so long has to vie for a developer's for an offer to a developer instead of the other way around. It seems to me that the clinic should be fielding offers from developers. I think you just can't replace something. You know, there's such an essential component to a place that's the people and the history, that this is so deeply unsettling for me, and more importantly for the people who receive care there, that it could be potentially just uprooted and displaced for something different and potentially something good. But it's just so deeply unsettling to hear this. So that's just my own little 2 cents there.
Thank you very, very much for sharing that. There's another question that was submitted in the Q&A box. Actually, I think it's been, and it looks like you're typing an answer to it. Okay, so I'll just let you continue. Great, that means we can go back into the clinic and hear from someone else.
Much. I want to say thanks to Dr. John, who spoke up just recently. He is actually part of our behavioral health program that we are expanding here. And then for CCBHC, which is more of a comprehensive type behavioral health that we want to be able to give to this community. So another reason we really want to stay, because we understand what the community needs.
Yeah, I still haven't heard an answer as to why it's even necessary to consider replacing these people. Why is that a given that it's up in the air whether or not they can stay? Who decides that it has to be the developer to make that choice? What developer has a confidence in medical care? I mean, that just doesn't make any sense.
Well, let's pull in some team members on that. So Angela or Kelly.
Yeah, Joan, I'll take that one.
Okay.
So to clarify the process, that the developer will not be the one that selects the healthcare provider. They'll select the provider that they partner with. And then the county with the source selection committee will review the proposal in whole, the medical service being provided as well as the housing, and select the partnership that best meets the RFP requirements. And that requirement, that's a very large portion, reason of why we're out here today, because we really do want to be sure that RFP, that it meets the needs and that we're hearing what the community needs to inform that. So it will be the developer and the medical provider who best as a partnership meet the needs of the community from the housing standpoint and as well as from the medical standpoint, ensuring that we keep this valuable service here in this community.
And Joan, this is Krista Ellis from the county. I just wanted to dovetail on to what Kelly just described as the process and say that as the county source selection committee reviews the proposal that come in, we have both county experts in affordable housing as well as medical service providers who are reviewing the proposals. So I just want everyone to know that there is that level of expertise in the screening of what's submitted. Additionally, I wanted to share with those on the line that there is an industry day at the end of this week, and that allows for potential proposers, affordable housing developers, and healthcare providers who can get connected and meet each other and start having the conversations to develop those relationships, to start talking about what we've heard from the community this week in this conversation and the one on Thursday, to allow for those connections to start occurring, so there could be successful networking and development of those relationships.
All right, thanks to the last speaker for posing that question. Let's go. We have to see a hand raised from Sabrina Rangel. So Sabrina, you're invited to unmute, and then we'll go back to the clinic.
Hi, are you able to hear me?
We sure are.
Okay, my name is Sabrina. I work at an Ocean View clinic. I'm a medical assistant there. I've been there this November, will be 5 years. I remember when I first started there, I told myself, I'm only going to be there a year. And look at me now, almost 5 years in. I love working at Ocean View. I love all of our patients that we see. Working there, it's been every day. We don't know what we're going to run into. We are not an urgent care, but our community, our patients don't know that. We see so many things at our clinic every single day. Patients come in thinking we're, the ER. I would feel really bad if our clinic does shut down and nobody has anywhere to go in the time being while we don't know what's going to happen. Patients see us and they think, like I said, they think that we're an ER. They think that we're in urgent care because the things that we see, I'm sorry, I get choked up, but what I'm trying to say is I wish you guys could see the things that we do day in, day out, because we do make a difference in our clinic. And we see patients from like Alpine, Escondido, Chula Vista, San Isidro. We get all these different patients coming into our clinic needing to be seen. And I just feel like that's something that you guys should hear you know, and hopefully one day you guys do see the difference that we make in our community. Thank you.
Thank you. And that's why we're here, because we want to listen and we want to hear. So thanks for sharing. Okay, Dr. Zink, we'll go back to you.
Hi, my name is Kim Bo. I'm a pharmacist here at Comprehensive Health. I have been here for 12 years. Sorry. So every day we provide life-saving medicine to the community here. A lot of patients don't have the money to buy medicine at CVS, Walgreens. You know, this one patient came here, like when I first started, she was bleeding a lot, and I was able to give her Lupron, which is to stop the bleeding. Outside got $4,000, but here we only give her for $3.15. So that's big price difference that saved her life, and also in general save the cost of healthcare as well. Like she doesn't need to go back to the emergency room to get another $4,000 shot for or I don't know how much a hospital would charge. Like I have a list of medications here that I researched today before I can come and speak to you, but I'm sorry, I'm so emotional. That every day people have heart failure and stroke. They cannot afford the medication to resolve the clot in their body. Then they come here and we provide for them for about $3 or $5 charge. Versus in the community it costs them $700 or $600. So if we gone from this facility, who gonna be providing this discounted price for this patient? So I hope the developer, and also like asthma medication, they can't breathe. Out there is about like $400. Here we provide for $3. So we are here not making money for our organization. We are here to help the community. So the developer, I don't know what they have in their mind. I think the county should put San Isidro Health as the #1 priority and allow us to be in this building for forever, because this community needs us. We also provide like a lot of patients come with buses and trolley, because we have the bus and trolley close to our facility here, where people who have no transportation that needed it. And for some patient, like one patient, I just remember they have a crisis, mental health crisis. The Abilify outside at CVS will cost them about $700, but here's only $5. So I would need the developer to listen to me, because the 340B pharmacy program is the program that helps so many lives in this community and adjacent community, like National City, Chula Vista, for those who have under villages, who have no money, who are uninsured. So please give us a chance to be #1, to be selected.
Thank you very, very much for all that you shared. We have time for to hear from another person or two, and but there's a question here that I wanted the team to answer. Kelly, or Angela, probably goes back to you. Where is the information about the Industry Day meeting, and how does someone sign up to attend?
So I was going to try to drop that flyer into chat, but it's not allowing me to. I don't think that that link is posted on the Engage website, so we would just have to provide it separately. in the form of the flyer that you prepared, Joan.
Could could we give an email address and then someone can email and then we could send them the information? I'm just trying to figure out how to make all that happen. Or do we just give the link to the Engage site?
I don't believe that it's on Engage, the industry.
Oh, that's right. You just said that.
Angela, is it possible to read the time and place and things like that? And then still follow up with that, like you said?
Yeah, so it's a Zoom link I would need to provide. It's a virtual industry day. But I would say if you're interested in that, drop your email in the chat and I'll get you a link. I'll get you the flyer for that.
Yeah, and we think that the flyer went to several staff at San Ysidro Health as well. Okay, we're getting close to our wrap-up time. Martin, you have a second hand up, right? But what I want to do, though, if you don't mind, is I think there's some people who haven't had a chance to speak yet. And so maybe we'll take them. Dr. Zink, is that true? Do you have more people in the clinic who are still waiting to speak?
I'm not Dr. Zink, but I'm the CSM. The CSM for this clinic, and I have a line of people who would like to express their voice. Can we go ahead with that?
Yes. There we go. Yeah, it's breaking up a little bit. Try again.
Can you hear me? 1, 2, 3. Testing.
Yeah, that was good.
Fantastic. So just 2 quick points. My name is Jonathan Lizarraga. So you guys said qualifications earlier. So I've been part of developers choosing their qualifications through military contracts on the outside, whether they be in states or overseas. That usually just means who has the most money. So overall, right, because money will drive everything. That's what drives healthcare. That's what drives our housing. That's what drives whether or not you get adequate mental health, any of that. So I know that you had asked that question, so that's the answer. And I'm willing to bet everything I have on it. It'll be money. Whatever developer and whoever has the qualifications being who can give the most money, right? Because it'll build something. And sure, that might make sense. And that's fine. I know you guys have a very hard task at hand. You guys are dealing with the housing crisis. We have a healthcare crisis. We have people committing suicide every day. And I get it. You have to make hard decisions. I'm one of the few people that doesn't have an MD after their name, who has had to make that decision, who gets to live and who gets to die. Where do I get to render care and where do I not? So I apologize that you guys have to get like my ire for it, but it's about to get hot. And then the last thing I really want to bring up. So I've been in this for 8 years. As a medical assistant, my scope is small, but as a corpsman in the Navy, my scope is very, very large. So one of the things I want to bring up, and one of the reasons why I chose not to work at Kaiser, at Scripps, at Sharp, and at UCSD, is just the way they built their culture. So it's one of the main things that I just want you to take to your developer is San Ysidro is a Latino community. That's how it was built off of women who they saw their children, they saw their community who didn't have anyone. And they went out and they saw it and they took it and they brought it over here. So it's not just Latinos because the people of color have to stand together for this. It's one of the things that I really want to bring out. And even after the fact that this all happens, like God forbid the developer chooses Kaiser that brings in $92 billion in profits every year to people that don't bring it back. Meanwhile, not-for-profits like San Ysidro will reinvest it. They just reinvested for us to get 3 years of somewhat, they're making the most effort to have so we can afford anything. You know, I probably get paid in the top 1% as a medical assistant, closer to a nurse, and I still cannot afford to stay here. I spent my first year in San Diego living in my car and working 60 hours a week. I have no children, I have no kids. I don't get to afford that in San Diego. And there's people here with children who are breaking their back, breaking their souls. And I ask you not to take San Ysidro away because you will be gutting the culture and the soul of San Diego. Now people want to come. Now San Diego, now Ocean View, now 32nd Street looks appealing. And I apologize for being dramatic, but seriously.
We really appreciate you and the others sharing what's on your heart and what's on your mind, truly. Okay, I think we've got time to hear from one more person. And we do have a meeting on Thursday evening. It's in person, so I know that's not as convenient, but we'll be there in person. And so if you want to come again, to that meeting, then that would be great.
Joan, I just want to know, it looks like we've managed to get the link for the industry day in the chat for those who are looking at it.
Okay,
so we're looking for that.
Industry day link is now in chat.
No hablo inglés, ¿verdad? Buenas noches, me llamo Verónica Sotelo, tengo más de 15 años viniendo aquí a atendernos toda la familia, como la señora que habló hace ratito, también mi esposo está enfermo del corazón, aquí nos atienden, aquí tienen psicólogo, aquí tienen quiropráctico, tienen todo, yo no sé por qué lo quieren mover de la comunidad. Hay personas que no saben manejar o no tienen suficiente dinero para poder moverse, entonces a la comunidad nos queda cerca. No sé por qué quieren hacer eso y dejar a las personas sin trabajo. Me gustaría que se quedara la clínica porque nos hace mucha falta a todos. Gracias.
Thank you very, very much. I think we're gonna just go ahead and wrap this meeting up. Again, we have another meeting Thursday. It's gonna be the same format. The team's gonna provide some information and we'll spend most of that meeting, same as we did here, hearing from community members. So Danielle, if you can help us go to the next step slide, and Angela, I'm going to turn this over to you to wrap up. But I just want to say before I sign off, I really appreciate all of you being here and spending the time to share again what's on your mind and what's on your heart related to this project. I know it takes a lot to be here and to speak in a situation like this. So I want to thank you for that. Angela?
All right, wasn't unmuting. Yeah, so I echo that. I appreciate all of you taking the time this evening to be engaged and be interested in what's happening at this site. So some of the near-term steps on this site include gathering the input that we've received from you and summarizing it to be included in the RFP for developers' visibility and consideration when they're putting together the proposal. We then plan to release this RFP tentatively in early 2024. The developer that's awarded the site through this RFP process will be required to return to your local community planning group to share development details as they become available. And finally, the selected developer will be required to set up a project website that includes important updates and general project information. Next slide. So that wraps it up. If you have any questions, my email is there on the slide. You can also jot down the website. It's a lot of you have probably already been there, Engage San Diego. It'll contain updates on the project up to the time that we assign it to a developer and they create a website.
Thank you, Angela, for giving the updates and providing your contact information. Community members, once again, thank you for being here, and we hope that you have a chance to enjoy the rest of your evening. Thank you very much.
Thank you.